Hello everyone, it's Helen here and thank you for joining me today. Now today I have this photo here that we're going to be scrapbooking together. Now this scrapbook layout will be appearing in the scrapbook corner in Simply Cards and Papercraft magazine. That's going to be issue 161 and it'll be released on the 23rd of March, so hopefully this video will be coming out on the same day. All the information will be on my blog, so don't worry about that, the link will be down below. And I'm just going to quickly show you, I've pulled some things out that I think will work well with this photo. So I have edited the photo, it's kind of got a sepia sort of effect, and I've printed it out 5x7 and I've mounted it onto some white cardstock. So that's Stampin' Up Whisper white cardstock because that's my favourite. Okay, so these are the things that I thought would work quite well. So we have this very vanilla here, a ribbon, that's 1/4 inch. I have this burlap ribbon as well, which is kind of like a jute or a Hessian type ribbon. So I'm kind of going for like a natural sort of theme here, but I also like the white as well. Okay, so these are lace doilies, and they're white on one side and like a beigey, very vanilla sort of cream colour on the other. So there's that. Okay, onto embellishments. We have these lovely wooden hearts here and some little flowers there. These are Stampin' Up Sending Love embellishments. I really like these ones. Let's hold that up close there, you can zoom in. That's not the lid. Okay, so there's those. I mean, I may not end up using any of these, so I'm just going to see how this goes. So these are the things that take my fancy for getting started with. And then we have these Falling in Love embellishments. These are really nice. See if I can hold that up so you can see that there. Let's wait for my camera to zoom in. There we go, it's focused. They're really pretty. Okay, these are metal as well, as you can see by the sound they make. They are quite heavy actually, so I really like those ones as well. See, I'm not too sure what's going to work and what's not, so best way to find out is just to try it. Okay, so I've also pulled out these stickers. There, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Daiquiri. That's the font. These are by American Crafts. Okay, so I really like those as well. So you've got these are all lowercase. You also get some numbers as well. I'm hoping to bring some white into this photograph as well because it just all goes. Okay, and I've also pulled out some Tip Top Taupe. All the information of where I got everything from will be on my blog, which will be down below. And I've also pulled out this stamp set, which is called So In Love, and it's new this quarter, so it's new this January to Stamping Up. And I really like this pattern here. So I was hoping to, instead of actually using patterned paper on my layout today, I'm going to try and stamp some sort of pattern. Now this actually comes out. I mean, most people might throw that away, but I'm thinking I'm going to actually use that. I mean, I've done a few test patches already and it works out quite well. So we have this line here, and I was thinking maybe I could fill it in. Well, you'll see what I do with it anyway, so let's pop that back in there. Okay, so let me clear off the desk and then we'll get started. So I'm just starting off with my photograph, and I'm just marking in place there where the photo is going to go so I can get my stamping down. Using my embossing buddy there, that's an anti-static powder. I'll be using some heat embossing on this, so that embossing buddy is quite necessary for avoiding static. So I'm just making my marks now with that outline. I don't know what shape that is though. It's a nice shape. So I'm just getting those down. You can just about see where the Versamark's gone down. So I'm working in small sections here. What I don't want is for the Versamark to dry off before I can add the powder. So I keep my embossing powder in a box, it's just a lot easier to use. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just preheating my tool. And just heating up there. You can see there the paper is starting to warp slightly, but it would be even more warped if I hadn't have heated up my tool. Okay, I'm just doing a quick check there, and then I can work on the other corners. If only I could actually work that fast. Okay, so I'm just taking my paintbrush and just wiping off some of the excess powder there. If I hadn't have wiped that off, there would it would stick to the card as well, and it wouldn't have made the project look very nice. Okay, another reference check. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm taking our doilies. These are from Stampin' Up. I'm just placing them around, so they're cream on one side and white on the other side, so I was just trying to decide there where to put them, and as you can see I'm going from a diagonal here with the pattern. It's going from right down to the left hand side, so now I'm just adding some more of those nice shapes. So now I'm just deciding if I should use both of these or three of them. I'm going for three focal points here, one by my head, one down at the bottom corner and one on the left hand side as well. This creates a nice triangle, so it leads the eye into the photograph, and it helps guide the eye through the actual scrapbook layout as well. And that's one of the tricks that I do like to use when I do my scrapbook layouts. So here I am doing the sentiments now. I believe these say "so in love" and the other one says "with you." So I'm white heat embossing those. Okay, I've got the 2-inch circle punch there. I've decided to make the other one slightly smaller. I just noticed there that the heat embossing hadn't done fully yet, so I'm just going to re-stamp that. I wasn't happy with the outcome of the first one. Another thing I need to do is let that cool down. If I slid the punch over that, then it may have ruined my wording as well. Okay, I'm using Tip Top Taupe. Just going to sponge around the edges. Okay, now the page is starting to take shape now. I'm just deciding where all my clusters are going to be, and I've also decided I'm going to stick with the white. Okay, and I've also decided to mount that. I think that's a 2 3/4 inch punch there with the white cardstock, and I'm going to lift those up with some dimensionals. These ones are by Stampin' Up. Okay, and I'm also going to repeat that with the other one. I decided not to mount that one with the larger white circle, because otherwise it may have covered some of the nice delicate features on that doily. Okay, now I'm just grabbing some packaging. That's actually from a Lizelle box I got for Christmas. Most of that is going to be covered up anyway, and you can use any old white tissue paper. You can get those in the shops. Probably won't need to tell you where to buy those ones. Okay, so I'm just using my ruler now just to help me get a straight line. I mean, it'd be too delicate for me to actually put that through my paper trimmer. And a ruler does a good job of that anyway. Okay, so I've decided on a couple of layers. As you can see, most of all that pattern on there is pretty much hidden, so okay, now trying to put it all back together again, and I've just decided there that there wasn't enough background stamping, so I'm just going to add a few more pieces there. I tend to do this a lot with my scrapbook pages, taking the items off and then adding them back again exactly how they were, just to make sure I've got all my layers right. Okay, and now moving on to embellishments. I'm using Stampin' Up, just trying to get the Sending Love embellishments. Those are the wood embellishments, and they're nicely, I can't think of the word here, but they seem to have been imprinted somehow with patterns on them, that they're wooden heart shapes and squiggly flowers. But yeah, they do have some lovely patterns put on them. Okay, now I'm making a strip. I believe this will be some small banners that I'll be making for my corner cluster on the bottom left. Just trying to decide here what order I want them in and how I'm going to layer them up. I'm just making some easy banners there. I don't actually have one of those banner punches, but I get by with just my scissors for that. Okay, so I'm repeating some of the elements now. As you can see, I'm using the white cardstock, the tip-top taupe cardstock and the tissue paper, and that's taking those colours and elements from the main section of the scrapbook page. So that's going to keep the design cohesive, and it's going to allow the page to flow as the eye moves along it. Nothing's really going to stand out like a sore thumb. Okay, so now I'm doing some more inking. I believe I'm using tip-top taupe again. Okay, so that dark card, I believe it's crumb cake. Okay, so here I'm actually going around the edge of my scrapbook page, adding the same white heat embossing around it. Now this is a really easy jaggedy sort of border to make. It's really quite effective. It just gives it that sort of like painted look, distressed. I could have mounted that onto a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock and trimmed down the actual Sahara sand down, so but I thought no, I'm going to go for a more distressed natural look. Just doing the last section here. Okay, so now you can see here that now that's made a whole load of difference. Now the page is starting to look more finished. Adding those embellishments back on again. I like it when I get to the point where everything's stuck down. One of the hardest things I find with scrapbooking is making all those decisions on where to put things down as you layer them up. This is something that will improve with practice, so I wouldn't worry if it does take you a long time at first to get started on deciding. It's all part of the learning process anyway, so if it does take you all weekend to do one scrapbook page, at least you know you've got it done. Okay, so I'm just deciding where I'm going to put my title. This is week number 3. So yeah, my daughter was 3 weeks old here, and we'd just fallen asleep together on the sofa, and yeah, my husband had just walked past and just thought, aha, photograph moment. And I'm actually really pleased that he actually did manage to get this photograph. I think she's sticking her finger in her ear. Okay, so I'm finally getting down to gluing everything down now, just using a tape runner for that. That's by Crafters Companions. Okay, so now I just need to make sure that my circle and my title are going to fit in the same place. And I'm also using some Tombow liquid glue here just to stick down the thickers. If you haven't used thickers before, they do have adhesive on the back, but it's not very strong, and this particular layout will be going through the post, so the last thing I want is for anything to start falling off. So yeah, stick everything down, just be on the safe side. Okay, so I'm also using my ruler here just to make sure that my wording is straight. I don't mind wonky words when I'm going for that particular look, but when I do want it straight, I do tend to use a ruler just to make sure that it does look nice. Okay, so now I'm sticking down. I'm going to call this the main. That's pretty much the main embellishment cluster up the top there, the one with the doily. And that's more or less where your eye is drawn to. So this says Mummy and Katie falling asleep. I didn't hold that up long enough, but yeah, that's just my journaling there, just to let the reader know what the situation was and what we were doing. So yeah, she was only 3 weeks old there, so we were still pretty much getting used to it, and yeah, and I was a new mum at the time, not used to all that lack of sleep, obviously. Okay, so now I've just taken my watercolour pencil, and at this moment in time when I was making the layout, I didn't actually have a white gel pen or anything like that. So the closest thing I had was the white watercolouring pencil, so that worked quite well, giving it a subtle stitched effect. So I've done that around all the circles, and I've just added that to the banners, and now I'm deciding, right, I'm just going to have to stick these down and make my decision and not worry about it. I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, I can always rip that back up again and change it, so yeah, you can always do that. If you put it together and you're not happy with it, just change it. You know, and if you're really not happy with your layout, start again. There's nothing wrong with starting again. Okay, so now I'm deciding where I'm going to put all my embellishments. I'm using those lovely hearts, and some of those smaller filled in solid hearts, they fit inside those hollow hearts. And the same for the larger hearts as well, they all, and the flowers, so they all tend to just slot into each other. I'm not too sure if I actually used any fitted together at this point, but yeah, so I'm just deciding now on my cluster for the bottom left, and I'm going to do some more stamping. So embossing buddy, oops, that fell off. Okay, so I have to heat my tool up again, so I'm just waiting. That's cooled down since the last time I heat embossed. Okay, so I've cut that out and I've just added that on there. So I'm also, as you can see, I'm repeating all of the embellishments now from the rest of the page, just to bring the rest of the page together. So I've taken the circles, the hearts, and that funny shaped thing. So I'm just taking elements there and then gathering them all together. So on with the pencil. I don't think I'm going to be putting any wording on that one, but I am copying the white border. Okay, so I'm adding some more dimensionals, so this one's going to be really quite raised up, and I'm also offsetting that off the side of the page, so I'm going to trim that off now. So let's turn the page over and trim that off. I did it a bit wonky, so I'm just repairing that. Okay, so on with the hearts. I'm just deciding which hearts to put where. This is the bit where I can spend hours just fiddling and fiddling. I try not to, but yeah, there's a perfectionist in me when it gets to this point, and yeah, it's something that I'm working on, just trying to just make sure that I just get it down on the page and then come back to it later and just with fresh eyes see if I still like it. So I'm just adding the date there. It's always important to get your journaling down onto your scrapbook page. These are your memories, and you want your scrapbook pages to actually outlive you. So it's good then for the reader then to know what's going on and who's in it and what the date was, and to also read your perspective as well. So I don't think I was too happy with how I'd written that date, so I'm just trimming down my dimensionals there on a brand new date that I've written down. I'm going to cover that up, and some more Tombow glue there just to make sure it doesn't fall off. So using the liquid glue as well on there is going to make sure that it's going to stay, basically. I mean, these pages are going to spend a number of years in your albums, so you don't want 10, 20 years down the line for things to start falling off into your album inside the page protectors. So, okay, so here are the photographs. Okay, so here we go. This is my finished layout. I'm not completely happy with this area here, so I may just work on this a little bit later on. I like to take a little break from my layout and then come back to it and then to see how I feel about it. If you ever do get stuck, that's a good thing to do. Just walk away from it and then come back a little later on. Sometimes you can have just a brand new perspective on everything. So I'm going to leave this for a little while and I'm going to come back and then I'm going to maybe tweak it a little bit. I don't know yet. So anyway, thank you for joining me today and I hope to see you next time.